Yeah, but your YouTube vids were popping, bro.
At one point, yeah. And then after, like, it was getting like 35, 40K views, and then after it just went back to 20K. I don't know how this algorithm works. I need to tell everybody to enable notifications at this point.
So thanks for doing this today. It's been a while since we gamed together. I know that last time I was chilling with you, we were doing duos.
Skip that part.
What?
What was that? Never mind. It's fine. It's fine.
What? Skip what part? What's wrong?
What were you saying? Keep going.
No. Oh, you mean you dying? Yeah. So basically, the last time we played together, we were doing. And we were going to try to make a push to Challenger, and then it was taking forever, and then I had coaching commitments, and it was just kind of like, you know, all right, never mind, we're not going to do this. It's taking too long. But I feel really bad, man, because honestly, you're probably one of my favorite content creators to duo with, because you have such a positivity about you, and you don't seem to get very tilted. Which I think is a reason, or at least a big reason, and we're going to talk about your gameplay in a minute, but like, which I personally think is a big reason why you're able to do so well in high elo, you know, time after time again, is because you don't really let anything really get you down. You just kind of grind and make good decisions. Would you think that's fair?
Yeah, sure. On good days, honestly, like, it's hard to actually tilt me. When I get tilted, that means somebody like really pissed me off.
Yeah, you're very good about that, and one of the reasons that I reached out to you specifically for the boot camp is, well, one, it's kind of hard to find good support players, and I mean that with all due respect, but like, not really, because I feel like most support players are pretty bad. Especially like I feel like when there's a really standout support, though, you really look standout. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the
reasons
reasons
unique is different. My whole thing was like, different. That's what everybody else is used to.
And if you've never seen Alicopter play, guys, and you know, I'm gonna let you do the heavy lifting in terms of explaining it, but essentially, Alicopter here is probably the most aggressive high elo support in solo queue. I don't know for how many years. And what made you come up with this play style? Like, when did you realize, like, oh wait, this is like something that I can just do? Like, I could just roam around and kill people.
Well, to be honest, like back at season 7, I think, or 6, I'm not sure exactly when, I was around like D1, D2, and I would be winning my lane most of the time, but just ending up with a loss on the game because my top laner or mid laner would just fuck up early game. Can I use F-bombs or?
Yeah, of course, dude. You've played with me.
So early mid game, they would just mess up the whole entire game, and then they have like zero potential from bot lane to carry anymore. So I said, you know what, fuck it. We're just gonna try to like roam around the map early on, put pressure on the other lanes, the solo laners, because it seemed like they had much more potential of carrying back at season 7. Even now, they have a lot higher potential early mid game to carry than AD carry does. So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna play around them, and then afterwards we transition the pressure onto other lanes with TP and all that, you know. And it worked out. I started doing that, and then eventually, as soon as I got better at it, because it's not easy. You can't just be roaming and expect it to work every single time. There's different ways to play it out and all that. But as soon as I got better and better at it, I started going on fat win streaks, and that's when I'm like, okay, this is the way for me to play. This is how I'm going to play support. It's just so much more impact on the game overall than staying bot lane and just relying on your other laners to not feed.
Yeah, I always, like, when I played against you in previous games, and like a lot of players can kind of echo what I'm talking about here, but it's like, let me give you a little quick story. So when I played, I don't know, have you ever played baseball?
Well, I play with friends, but I never like competitively or anything like that.
No, of course not. Like, the most baseball I played was like Little League, right? Like when I was a kid. But basically all I did in baseball is I couldn't hit for shit, right? Like, I could not hit for shit. So all I really did was bunt. But I was good at bunting and I was really fast. So even though all the other teams knew that I was going to bunt, it would still normally work anyways. And every time I see you and I see people complaining about getting caught by these robes, I'm always thinking to myself, that story in my head is literally just like, you know, he's gonna roam, you know that he's probably gonna like hex flash over chickens or whatever, but you're so good at it, you're so practiced in it that it normally works anyways. And do you think that a big reason, I mean, obviously you're practiced in it, obviously you're experienced with it, but like, Do you think it's just what you're really doing, more importantly, is you're taking a advantage of players' tendency to just autopilot?
And their stupidity. Because it's not about just autopiloting and everything, you know? Because let's say you're at mid lane, your wave is frozen and this and that. There's like certain timers where they can't afford to just like sit on the tower for me to like until I give up trying to look for a play. So at one point they have to like try to crash this or that. There's a lot of like, I'm playing with their minds, you know? I'm tilting them at the same time. Like they're in a situation where if their jungler, let's say, doesn't come, they're just gonna miss out waves and waves. And in high elo, as soon as like you miss out a wave or two, or you're just fucked afterwards. You're gonna lose XP, you're gonna lose gold. They're gonna have the whole wave advantage, the whole lane advantage. You're gonna be able to take control of the map. So while I'm roaming, my AD carry bot lane, if he's playing safe, he's not losing out on much. One wave at bot lane is not as bad as like, let's say, one wave at mid lane, because there's much more XP over there, and mid lanes, they tend to get their like power spikes much earlier than bot AD carries. So there's a lot of factors involved. And the fact that Alistar is such a good champion to dive as well with, the ultimate, you tank so many tower hits, like they could sit on the tower, but if my jungler is even there with me when I'm roaming, it's over. It doesn't matter how like he's sitting on the tower. I'm still going to dive that tower. I'm still going to get away with it if there's not their support or their jungler or people rotating towards to help them. And as soon as that one time happens, they just fall behind and they tilt. Most of the biggest reason is because they tilt and then they start making emotional plays. So it just becomes a snowball, a domino effect.
Yeah. So one of the things I've tried to explain it to friends about what you're doing, and I think you would like this explanation, is like generally supports, they kind of just do this thing. It's like, you know, I'm a support. Oh my God, that's a terrible pen size. What the hell is that? I'm a support, right? And then as a support, I can win lane. Right? I win lane. And then what are my other options? Maybe roam, right? And it's like, that's it. With you, with what you're doing, right? So if I pull you up, though, it's like, okay, well, maybe we can win lane. Yeah. Or we could also roam. And then you were setting up all these conditionals. And I love how you're doing that. You're like, well, if the jungler's there with me, right, I might be able to use him. Right? If their jungler's missing, I might be able to use that, like enemy jungle, right? If I can gank the mid laner, like I'm gonna do that. You give yourself like all these different outs as a player to give yourself the advantage to be like, well, I'm probably overall gonna win more games, because you're giving yourself all these different choices. Like imagine like a flow chart, right? Like it's the same concept. You can do just one thing and just sitting in the lane, but you're never really satisfied with that. And I noticed playing with you, sometimes it's hard to keep up with you because you just like to fucking battle. I mean, regardless, like you will normally lean on the higher tempo play, the play that will result in the most ground the fastest. Why do you think you lean towards that more? Because we all have player tendencies, right? Why do you think you find yourself doing that the majority of the time as opposed to like slowing down a bit? Because I don't really see you play very slow, at least in the early games.
I don't like playing slow at all. I don't like relying on like scaling and this and that, and then afterwards like the gold score is even, and then one big mistake late game, one person gets caught, the whole game's out of proportion. Baron this, that, and then they take objectives, and then you're screwed. You can't do anything anymore. I mean, the thing is, I'm confident in my play. I'm confident with my playmaking strategies and all that. And I know it's solo queue. They lack communication. They're not going to be on the same page at every second of the game. So in that whole fiesta that's happening, I'm the master of fiesta. I'm the one who's dictating what's happening over there. I'm the one who's doing the first move, and usually I fall for my traps, and it just takes the game in my favor, you know? I'm the one who's leading the plays. I'm the one who's like the first move. Just like in chess, I'm the one who's making the first move. They're reacting. And most of the time, these people are not familiar with my strategy. So they don't know exactly how to play against it. So they're just like in a matter of confusion at that point. And that's when shit falls apart. That's when they lose their focus. That's when they're messed up.
Yeah, I really like that, and I really like how you're framing it, because a lot of the coaching and stuff that I do with supports is trying to like tell them like, hey, you guys need to actually like play for level 2 instead of just coexisting, because it definitely does feel like in a game that if you're if you're just like waiting around, it definitely feels like you're just leaking away agency, right? Like you're leaking away the opportunity to actually influence the game in a meaningful way. And I love how you framed it. It's like, I'd rather just throw a bunch of shit to the wall and see what sticks than wait for that one pivotal, like, you know, 5v5, because it just doesn't feel as good, does it? It's like, it feels like you're just, yeah, it feels like we're just coin flipping the entire game away and just, yeah, I would, my next question for you, and I think this is a really good one, is how, because right now I've seen you play very, very, very high up the ladder, multiple seasons. Like, what's your peak rank?
The highest I've hit was last season, was 1,121 LP, if I'm not mistaken. That was like rank 13 or 11. I'm not sure exactly which, but yeah, that was the highest I've hit last season. And every season it's been higher and higher. The season before that I hit 800. The season before that I hit 650. So every season it's going slowly higher. And this season the highest I hit was like 800 so far, but we're still grinding.
Yeah, I mean, how you liking the no duo, by the way? We never really talked about this.
It's so much better. Like, imagine I'm playing solo queue and late at night, as soon as like, because the thing is, the only time challenger queue is actually fun to play is late at night when these pro players, they finish scrimming around like 8 EST. That's when they all queue up, so the queue times are faster. Because if you queue up in the morning, it's just going to take 20 minutes, and then the system's just going to match you with like diamonds to balance it out, just to get you in a game.
Yeah, we definitely experienced some of that.
Yeah, those are like such a mess. But at night, the queue times are more balanced. But imagine that, and I queue up at night, and I have to face like Vulcan, Sven, bot lane, like all LCS bot laners. These guys that are on comp, sitting next to each other. They've been playing together for a while, and I have like a random AD carry that I have to play with. And as soon as I leave him, let's say, he's just going to start bitching. He's just going to start like crying nonstop, and they're going to take advantage of that because there are two people on the same page, and then there's a jungler. There's probably another pro player, so they're going to know what to do. There's so much more communication when there is a duel, and it's much easier to take advantage of me. But right now, everybody's solo queue, so it's just how solo queue is supposed to be. Literally, like, I'd rather there was no duo enabled at all than how it is now. But if they do that, they have to like reset the whole ladder, and everybody has to start from scratch. It's going to take like 2-3 seasons for everybody to get to their respective spot. But there's so many challenger players that they're really good in challenger, but if you put them in a diamond game, they're not going to be able to play it because they play the game by the book, how you're supposed to be playing it in challenger. But these diamonds, they don't know how to do that, so the games are just going to become a mess. And
that's an interesting perspective that I've never. You really feel that way? You think that there's players in challenge? You realize I'm trying not to lead the witness here, because there's going to be a lot of people on YouTube that's like, see, challenger players can't carry all diamond games. Like, do you really feel? I mean, obviously that's not the majority.
It's definitely not the majority, but there's so many. Like, let's say, you know, these Riot accounts that they give the pro players.
That was a problem, yep.
That is a big issue because they get plus 30, minus 8. And most of the people, not most, but some, like, not that big, small of a minority, but a questionable amount. If you were to put them on a fresh account to Challenger, it would take them much more games than, let's say, the actual good ones that are in Challenger. Because those LP systems are inflated. Most of them, they don't even deserve to be in Challenger. Like, those pro players, they would be hard stuck if they were playing the way they are playing. But plus 30, minus 8, you need like what, 4 losses to actually make up for that one win. Your 50% win rate, you're still going to get the challenger regardless.
Yeah, you sound very annoyed with it, and it runs opposite. Like, I had people like Five Fire on here, for example. He didn't really seem too concerned, but I think that speaks to how you are. Like, you value the solo queue experience a lot, whereas a lot of these guys don't really look at it as that valuable to them.
If you're a pro player, like, solo queue has nothing to do with pro gameplay. Those guys as a 5 is different. They might be a whole different breed when they're playing 5 together than in solo queue, but so that's like ruining the solo queue experience for people that are not professionals, or let's say like for streamers and shit. And then there's others, like, it creates an imbalance, you know?
I had someone from Riot. I can't really say any names because I don't really, I'm not really trying to out anybody or try to speculate on shit. But they were asking me about like what can be done to improve ranked. Like, they just wanted to kind of relay feedback. They were curious about my feedback, so they asked. And what I wound up saying was like, I think there's a couple of issues, and you can tell me if you agree. One of the issues is that these there was the pro accounts that kind of scuffed the ladder up, and then there was the MMR abuse case that came out, where it was like you could play weird normals matches, and just kind of do, you know, you could basically like, for some reason, normals impacts ranked, and that's just stupid, right? Like we both agree there. And then there's the other issue of what I call the account graveyard, where basically anybody can just log in and be in a diamond game like 3 years later for some reason, and they could just play in that game without any sort of previous ramp up. There's no like phone link, there's no SMS link, right? There's none of that. I just wound up telling him like, hey, you know, we need to get rid of, you know, keep the duo gone, fix the Riot accounts, add a cell phone link and all these things, and you would see immediately like toxicity would go down because people wouldn't feel like they could just jump accounts all the time. The ladder would have more value, like all of these things. Like, do you feel that way?
They're never gonna do that. That's their income. The different accounts, different skins, this and that. That's a big source of their income. They're never gonna do that.
So you think you don't think that Riot has any, even with them asking for feedback like that, like you don't think eventually they're going to look at their rank system? Because what I told them was, I was like, look, and you would agree, the only reason that you and I really do so well in this business, I think, is because people care about rank, right? Like they care that this person is able to get to a rank. They respect that. Like that has a value that you can't really, I mean, just look at my coaching, right? Like that has a value to it that you can't even explain. But
exactly.
if they lose that value,
Just think of it this way: one coaching session, it doesn't matter how much it is, $100, $200, whatever, like that. Okay, let's say in a country that's like usually most of the people that are buying the coaching, they at least have a minimum wage, like in a first world country, right?
Yep.
Those hours, that 1 hour of coaching is probably equivalent to more than like 20, 30, 40 hours of gameplay. Because there is so much stuff that I learned, even after spending like thousands of games, that I've learned down the line after hitting Challenger, that I learned, this about macro, this about micro in lane, that I could have learned so much more, like so much longer ago, if I had taken advice from a higher elo player.
Dude, I feel the same
And now
way.
this is like so accessible. There are so many Challenger players that are willing to coach, you especially.
Thanks,
So
man.
that literally opens up, like it makes them waste so much less time than just grinding one by one. Because when you play this game, especially when you're spam playing this game, you're just autopilot at one point. You're not willing to learn. You're just trying to like use whatever information you have to play the game until somebody like you cross along the path tells you you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, and then you take that into consideration and so that. But it's so much waste of time. If you're actually trying to get better at the game, invest that. If you really care about the game, invest that little amount of money. Not little amount for some people, I understand, but invest that amount and you just get so much value out of it.
Yeah, and my point of bringing this all up, I mean, personally, I wish I would have had a coach when I started. It's one of my bigger regrets, actually, as a content creator, is that I wish when I was like stuck around like low diamond, I wish I would have just dropped the ego and actually hired someone to explain some of the deeper concepts to me, because I feel like I stifled my growth. Exactly what you're saying. It's like I rammed my head against the wall so many times because I just didn't have I was too prideful, right? But the only reason that I bring all this up isn't necessarily to promote coaching, although that doesn't hurt me. It's more that I am sitting here thinking, man, if Riot doesn't take care of their ranked experience in these regions and get rid of this like account graveyard, as I like to call it, and maybe do something with SMS. You believe they'd never do it. I feel like if they continue to let ranked keep going down the path that it's going, every content creator like us, like we're sitting here saying, rank doesn't matter that much, right? Like it's so bad for business for us to be going around on videos and just being like, yeah, well, a bunch of people, like you just said, right? And I love that you said it, and I love that you're candid, and that's one of the things that I've always liked about you and talking to you, is that you just keep it honest. You're like, hey, I'm a Challenger player. I don't think a lot of these guys should even be here. And I respect that a lot. And it's one of the things that I fear is that, like, man, I hope they don't screw this up too bad, because they've got this beautiful ranked system that like no one really... Who cares about Fortnite ranked? Who cares about Call of Duty ranked? Like, who's gonna pay for that? You know what I'm getting at? No one's gonna pay for that shit. No one's gonna pay to learn how to win at Mario Party. I don't know. I just think it's a shame. So, questions. I've got some more. One of them.
That whole SMS thing that you're saying, this and that. Like, I would understand if I was a regular employee at Riot and you wanted your advice, and you tell me something like that. That sounds like such a beautiful idea. Yes, but as soon as that goes up to the higher hands, like your fucking boss on top of you, he hears something like that, he does calculations, this is our source of income, that's gonna be a big no. But for a regular employee, that sounds like such a beautiful idea, you know? You put SMS, it's gonna reduce toxicity, this and that, but this game lives off stuff like that too, you know?
Yeah,
So
no,
that's like the issue.
I totally agree. One of the things that's always bummed me out is looking at Clash and how they went forward with doing that type of stuff on Clash. And I'm just sitting here. My best analogy is like I give you a Honda Fit Alicopter. I'm like, here's a Honda Fit for you. Okay, it works completely, right? And then you look at me and you're like, but NEACE, I have a brand new Tesla in the driveway and it has no wheels. Can you just give me wheels instead? And then I'm like, no. I give you Clash. I mean, I give you the Honda Fit. Do you see?
Yeah. It's pretty stupid.
It's like, all they have to do is put the wheels on the Tesla and the Tesla goes and no one complains and we're all happy in our new Teslas. But no. They must give us the Honda Fit. And that's kind of how I felt about it. And I think it's really, depressing because it's like, I saw these changes on the solo queue, like removing the duo, and I was super hyped about it. And then in typical Riot fashion, it's like, well, there's pro accounts, and for some reason they just get a billion MMR, and for some reason normals impacts MMR, and then I just throw up my hands and I'm like, Jesus Christ, how can I even sell this shit? Right? Like, it's not good for the game. But enough doom and gloom about ranked. That's not why we're here. Let's instead talk about your favorite ADCs to play with in solo queue.
Okay, favorite AD carries to play. Honestly, anything that's aggressive in lane, I'm down to play with. Like, let's say Tristana, Kai'Sa, Samira is pretty good. But all these champion, it just in higher elo brackets, obviously it depends on the matchup as well, because I don't want to be playing like mighty carry playing something that's weak into the enemy matchup. But anything that's aggressive like that could at least, because me, before I start roaming, I try to at least make something happen in lane before, so at least I can put some pressure in lane before I can leave, so they're not going to be as cocky and confident to do whatever the hell they want with mighty carry. So anything that's a bit aggressive that could help me put pressure on early, if kills come out of it, then even better. But if not, as long as it helps me pop their flash or some summoner spells, so it lowers the chances of them diving my AD carry or doing whatever the hell they want in lane, I can work with that. And now I'm starting to like Ezreal more too. But like last patch, Ezreal was pretty decent, but now I see less and less of it. But Ezreal is pretty good. Before I used to hate Ezreal because it doesn't do any damage in lane. Especially like in season 8 when it was Kleptomancy meta, that was just the most disgusting champion that I would want to play with. But now with this whole new Essence Fever Dustplate build, it doesn't seem that bad. And now I start to see more and more Kalista too in high elo. So anything like Tristana is pretty good with Alistar. There is Kai'Sa, it's pretty powerful. Samira is pretty powerful. Senna is not bad, to be honest. And if non-AD carry champions, Yasuo, Seraphine, pretty good. Veigar, pretty good with Alistar.
I can see that.
Talia, but Talia is not that much of a meta right now. But Veigar is pretty good bot lane. If you're missing AP in the team, that's such a beautiful champion to go with Alistar.
Have you played with
Seraphine.
I know I'm interrupting your thought. We'll get back to it in a second. Have you played with Tempest? He was saying that he's playing like Ziggs bottom all the time. Have you played with that yet?
Yeah, he played with that a few times. Ziggs is actually pretty good.
Yes,
because the champion is just so safe in lane. And as soon as you get one jungle gank, you get pressure in lane. And the thing is that Satchel that destroys towers at 25% HP, that's like the most broken thing that's introduced into this game, I think. It's such an OP tool in a champion. You just get one rift, even if you're playing Ziggs mid or AD carry, Your jungler, if he has some pressure, he's playing topside, he gets rift, you're good at bot lane, you're just AFK farming. One gank bot lane with a rift, and that tower's gone. It's so broken. Because you know the Satchel mechanic, right? 25% and then boom, off the tower.
The reason I'm blanking for a second is because I'm just thinking about like I just don't get why it's not played more, because it does actually sound really good from just a gold income perspective.
But the thing is, if the enemy support is playing, if their enemy bot laner is playing aggressive, and the thing is, Ziggs relies on poke, right? But if they are just full HP and they're just playing aggressive non-stop, it's kind of hard for Ziggs to actually lane against that. He has to be very, very careful with how he's positioning. But
so you think it's more of a high elo pick than something that people should be?
It's more of a high elo pick,
Okay.
You actually need to use your brain to actually play that in lane. But let's say Veigar, you don't really need that. You just play around your cage whenever it's up. Even in like plat, gold, it could work. If the bot lane is in synergy, they know what they're both doing at bot lane.
I want to know from you. You've been playing for a long time now. What's your goal with the game? Like, why do you play this game?
Honestly, right now I want to hit like rank 1.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think
Might
your
as
odds
well do
are?
that. Right now, it's not looking too hot, but if I go on a nice little win streak, and if I wait for the top 2 people on the leaderboard to decay, because like in EU, I think rank 1 is like 1.2 KLP, and NA is like 1.5 So I don't know, bro. We'll see. We'll see. If I go over 1 KLP, I think it's very doable.
Yeah,
right
I
now,
would.
I'm around 600, 700. So we'll see what happens. The thing
I
is, if you make it over
yeah.
like 800 LP, 1K is doable. It's all about, there's a lot of luck factor involved as well. And the thing is, like, the one person that deserves rank 1 in the server that's gotten this season so far is Core JJ. Because this guy did it with his account and with shitty LP gains. But the other people that were getting like plus 25, 26, minus 10, and they made it to rank 1 like that, I don't really believe in that. But Core JJ, this guy is an animal. This guy is so good at the game, especially in solo queue. He's tilt proof. He's like improved version of me when it comes to tilt proof. He's just obviously like he's a world champion as well, I think, right? Core JJ.
Yeah. He's a very, very good player.
And his champion pool is much more wide than mine is, obviously. So the guy is very good overall as a support. I think he's the best support in the server.
Yeah. Do you think that support? Do you think the support then in high elo is the best role? Do you think it's just? Do you think it's just as simple as that? Because I've now heard multiple people on here be like, "Yeah, support is busted in high elo," which is kind of funny because I feel like it's the opposite in low elo.
No, it definitely is. Support is actually busted in high elo.
Yeah,
support is because support can just if there is a gap between one support and another at bot lane, like there's so much snowball that happens. If the gap is even a little bit of a gap, there is so much snowball that could happen with the one that's ahead at bot lane. But let's say in mid lane, if the gap is like there is a lot of other factor involved. But support, they never expect the support to do all these stuff like roaming, this and that, to be there on the map. Because whenever you're playing a game, you're usually just paying attention to the jungle most of the time. Okay, the jungle is spotted on the map. I can look for a play here. But they forget to take the support into consideration. Mm-hmm. So support just ends up doing so much if that happens. And it just snowballs. And if you play support with a jungle, you help the jungler out, the jungler just takes control of the game. Yeah, that's why junglers love a good support. They just literally end up taking the whole control of the game. Just GG after that.
Every time that I was playing like top, I remember any time that I was playing like high elo top lane, it would always kind of like, it was always eye-opening when you would get past like master, because it felt like every game a support would just randomly like big dick the lobby, right? And even playing with you, when we were getting like in the upper tiers, it was always like the opposing support was roaming as well and was like working to roam. And I feel like one of the biggest weaknesses that supports have, and I think it's such an obvious weakness, but I don't know if like supports have some sort of like mental block with this concept. I feel like they just won't leave their lane. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like they just want so desperately to hold somebody's hand through the game. But I remember playing top is like, if I'm chilling in top lane and a Janna roams into my lane when I'm doing a trade, like when I'm making a big trade, like even though it's a Janna, like you'll just die for that shit. Like you just straight lose. Like if you happen to overplay a trade at just that moment, like it doesn't matter that it's just a Janna. Like, she's going to slow you. She's going to auto you back. She's going to shield whoever you were fucking with. And she's going to make you look really dumb. And then I just sit there and I'm like, why don't more supports do this? Do you think that it's just like... do you think that they just don't... Like, they're just missing so many skills of the game that they just don't want to? Like...
Because the thing is, doing that, it works in lower elo brackets. They never realize how much more they could do in lower elo brackets. But as soon as you get the high elo and you realize how much of a gap there is when the enemy support is roaming and you're staying in lane doing nothing, that's when they start to develop that they have to be putting more impact on the map.
Yeah.
If not, in lower elo, anything could work. You know, they just sit in lane, they 50-50 their games. They don't really care. They just like to blame left and right. But in higher elo, if that happens, it just creates a huge imbalance in the game, and then every lane is fucked over. Nobody can play the game anymore in the other team.
Yeah, I
feel like it's in high elo, it's kind of you're obligated at one point to do that in certain games, or else the game is just gonna get taken control of by the other support.
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good.
I was gonna say most of the times, let's say when I'm roaming, and the enemy support starts matching my roams, it usually doesn't work out well because they end up doing that because I'm pretty sure their team's just spamming, yo, Alistar is never in lane. You haven't even gotten a plate. You should start matching their roams. They start doing that under pressure. And if for somebody inexperienced, they're not going to actually know what to do and how to play it out. So they end up just ruining themselves over instead, just making it worse. That's how I feel, because I check VODs every now and then of people that I play against.
Yeah.
And then I see as soon as I start taking control of the game, their jungle starts flaming them, their team starts flaming them. Yo, what are you doing in lane? Start moving and match the Alistar roams. And then they start doing it, and then it just ends up getting worse. So it just messes them up. You have to be there first, or you have to like at least try to predict what I'm going to do and try to be there first or match, or at least just a second or two off.
Yeah,
because whenever I roam, I try not to hesitate. The second you hesitate, you're giving them time for them to like match your roams. So whatever I'm gonna do, I just run straight there. I'm running straight to my, let's say, chicken camp, and I'm hex splashing right away. I'm not waiting over there for them to be able to match my roams. Go ahead, I'm done.
No, I actually I like it, and I like the insight, and I think a lot of people do. I was just gonna like, the only thing I was trying to do is I was trying to piggyback off you were saying, which is basically I feel like right now, and I tell every fucking like every student that I get in support, anytime that they're playing like an enchanter, I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like enchanters are just not like, do you feel like they're almost like a skill, like a skill anchor, like a skill cinder block? I feel like if you play enchanters that aren't like fucking Janna and Lulu, but like even those ones can be, you see what I'm saying? They're a bit of a trap. It's like, I feel like these guys are like handicapping themselves in the game. They're and it's not in a good way. It's not like a handicap like, ooh, I play Riven, I suck ass, I can't do any combos. Like handicap in the sense is like, you actually don't have anything that you can do other than just hope to God that your teammates like, you know, yeah, you have to dodge your skill shots. Yeah, you have to be like spatially aware. But like realistically, how good at the game are you going to get really? Like, do you think that's fair?
They're just limiting themselves. It's true. It makes sense. But the thing is, if you're maining Enchantress supports, it's not that ideal to just hop into engage supports and like you have to learn first before you do that. Like, I don't know, practice in normal games or something. Because in low elo, the games usually last like 30, 40 minutes, you know? At that point, if you're playing Enchanter support, those are much more valuable than engage supports. If you're playing versus someone that's playing an engage support and he's not actually doesn't know how to end the game, Enchanter support is going to outscale. So it's going to be much more useful late game. We just stand behind, shield, this and that. It's going to be much more useful. Me, what I aim for is to close the games out as fast as possible. Unless we have like a very good scaling team, much better scaling team than they do. But if not, I try to end the games like around 25 minutes. I want at least like an inhib down or something so we could have some sort of pressure and we can play for objectives. That's my idea around it.
Yeah, I've been trying to pull a lot of clients off of enchanters for this reason. What do you think is like a general tip for people that are trying to get into engaged supports? Because what it normally winds up being is kind of what you described. Like, you'll get that noob in like silver or gold. You know exactly what I'm about to say. And he's like, I play Leona. And he just like goes all in like at every street. And he pretty much like is a liability to his teammates. How do you think you can dial that in? Like, what are the thoughts that go through your mind, like as you're playing Alistar, like engages like these? Like, what are the thoughts that are going into your mind when you're doing this type of stuff?
Listen, I would say that Enchantress like shield supports, it's basically like playing the easy game, the game in easy mode until D4. But as soon as after that, that's when the skill difference, like when playing versus an engaged support main, it becomes huge. Because until then, until D4, you can get away with it. But
so
if
you don't even, yeah, okay, go ahead.
If you want to climb over that, you just you're gonna have to learn your engage supports. So it's better off to do it early than later, because you can climb much more reliably when you're playing engage champions than when you're playing enchanter supports. Your enchanter support, you're just gonna coin flip. Hopefully, like, I don't know, you get the late game and this and that, and you shield, you coin flip your games. You're eventually gonna climb, yes. But if you get better at engage supports, your carry potential is much higher, and you're gonna have a more direct impact on the game than relying on other people to do the work for you.
I like that. I like the way you're framing that, because like you can climb, but like, what did you really have to do with it?
Exactly. So it's like you're climbing there, and then afterwards you hit a skill level like D4 plus when people are actually like decent, somewhat decent at the game. So at that point you're like, oh shit, like I got the easy way up here, but now that people are actually good, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. What do you Oh, I guess there's the other like additional problem as well, where it's like, okay, I'm a I'm a Nami main, right? And it's like, well, this Nami main gets autofilled to top, and it's like, well, since you didn't really learn how the game works at all, you're pretty much an auto loss. Yeah, because you don't really know, and you don't know how to be decisive. Like I've even seen you play. I've seen you play jungle with me before, and it was fine. Like it's obviously not your like, it's not your like best fucking thing, but you can coexist in the space. And I think a big reason that you can do that is because you actually start figuring out what like good fights look like, right?
Exactly. I played jungle season 8. I played unranked. Tried to go to challenger with jungle only. I got all the way to grandmasters with jungle.
Really?
The thing is,
Nice.
the way that I play support is literally the way that a jungle plays jungle. I'm just always watching out, tracking the enemy jungler, this and that, what their locations are. So jungle is basically doing the same thing. I'm playing support with a mixture of jungle at this point. So my knowledge about the game is just even like the same or even greater than the jungle mains and challenger and this and that. So because I'm literally all the time, I'm just checking map, analyzing where they're going to be, what can I go for, this and that.
Not to mention the playstyle is just fun. Like
yeah,
the playstyle is one of the reasons why like I was doing a lot of the Tryndamere mid stuff, because it's just a bunch of skirmishing. You know, it's just fun. It's just more fun to skirmish and to like figure out how this is why, and I'm sure you've experienced this because we were both playing on EUS for a little bit there. I couldn't keep up after a while because I had to do this and set all this up, but I really liked playing over there because it was just so like, it's so high tempo and it feels like everybody just wants to fight.
Exactly. Even especially the junglers. I love the junglers over there. Everybody's just like high tempo trying to fight. They play aggressive junglers like Nidalee. They're always invading left and right. NA, okay, they want to scale this and that. Just like in Worlds, every time we see there's 30 minutes into the game, there's 0-0 kills. Like, it's just fucking boring. And then afterwards, one fight and the game is just finished for no reason. And then EU, there's like fights left and right. That's how you actually get better at the game. If you're fighting, limit testing, that's when you realize what you can do, what you can't do.
Yeah, learning those invisible lines in the sand, right? And like figuring out how close you can get to that line without crossing it. Exactly, and unfortunately on NA, like NA competitive and even sometimes in NA like solo queue, and you can attest to this obviously, it almost feels like NA players are just hugging their tower and waiting for you to try to make a play so they can tell you how bad you are for trying.
Yeah.
It's like, look at this guy. Doesn't he know that if he doesn't try at all, he'll never fail?
Exactly.
Got to preserve the ego, right? One thing.
It's just like talking about winning a lottery or something when never buying a lottery ticket. It's just, I don't know, they just want things to happen like that. But you gotta, I don't know, put action, but do something for it to get results, you know?
Yeah, I would bet for you, you have an idea of like what champions you would want to play. Like, let's say that tomorrow, Riot, like Mark Yetter comes out and he's like, Alistar has no CC anymore. We're making him a Viego. He spams Q and flings the sword around, right? So he loses Alistar. So imagine this scenario. And also Mark Yetter's like, Alicopter's account is removed from the ladder and he has to start at 0 OP. Okay, this scenario sucks for you, but just bear with me. Now, imagine you have to climb the ladder again from scratch. Okay, and you've got to climb from support and you've got to climb solo. What champions are you playing?
Probably Nautilus, Leona, Rel. Nautilus and Leona in the lower elo brackets, and then Rel, Nautilus in the higher elo brackets. Leona's pretty good in low elo. She's like, people just don't know what to do against Leona in low elo, even Nautilus. But Leona's more OP in lower elo brackets.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
She just does so much damage. Her cooldowns are really low, and you go in, they don't focus you. They don't try to peel like you off them. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, their HP is just like all the way down. You do more damage than AD carries in lane as Leona. There's just so much CC. The Q is on a 5-second cooldown. The E is like 9 seconds. You E, you stall, you Q, and then afterwards walk up. They just keep movement spacing, and then you get another Q stun. It just does so much. And it's tanky as fuck to begin with.
You know, one thing, and I'm just looking at your gameplay here, and it's stuff like this that like is super underrated when you see it when you see it from the side of like a a support that actually knows what they're doing versus a support that doesn't. And I just love this little detail here. And you can see your champion is going like this.
Yeah.
And it's just this little mind game, and it kind of goes back to what you're talking about, where if you watch it play out, you could see very clearly that you're not really satisfied with the idea of Ashe ever being able to free hit your AD carry without some sort of thinking involved, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not really happy with that. So you do these little minor wiggles just to like send a signal that you might be doing something, and you do something that I really like and I coach about a lot, and you do it well, and it's the mark of somebody that really knows their champion, and I call it a shoestring. So what you do is you're basically always like in range of your AD carry. You know what I'm talking about? It's like,
yeah, you gotta be like that. They're also like, especially double range matchup, they're just gonna get all the poke on your AD carry, and then you lose the lane automatically, because health is very valuable in lane. Early games, health is more valuable than, let's say, like a few CS or XP. So you play around your levels and health. Because right now, if I have low health, my AD carry is low health like that, they can just do whatever the hell they want. And, but the thing is, sometimes I let them hit my AD carry just to bait out, like get them near my tower, and they start playing more aggressive. They start playing more cocky. And then let's say I look with my flash Q combo and the W to the tower. Because as soon as they see low HP, these guys, they're just looking at the HP. They still tunnel visioning. And then I just won't play. Like, it just brings up opportunities. There's like the positive in every situation. That's what I'm trying to look for every time. Yeah. And also that wiggling is just like wiggling a lock. You know, sometimes I just walk front back, because the enemy AD carry usually is going to try to be auto spacing. So I do that. Whenever I walk up, they're backing up. Whenever I walk back, they're walking in. And then at 1 second where we both walk into each other, that's my engage. That's my window over there. He creates enough space for me to just be able to get on him, and then just we out trade. Because also when you're even HP, with an AD carry that actually does damage, if I engage on him, if I get my full combo on him, we out trade them most of the time. So that's what I look for.
This is something that I would imagine that by now you're pretty much an expert at, and it's this idea of like, you know, whatever Alistar's like combo range is, like you're pretty good at it. And what I was talking about before was like you're always like in a shoestring. Like when you fight, I always call it the shoestring, because it's like you don't want to be necessarily right on top of each other. It's like you want to be just in range of each other, to where if he walks up, you can walk up. If he walks back, you can walk back. But you don't want to be on top of each other, because I use shoestring. You don't want to be on top of each other, because then you tie up the shoestring, right? You can get AoE'd or whatever. And you also don't want to be too far away and break the shoestring, right? Because if you break the shoestring, then when a play happens or is available, that little, half a second or whatever it is could determine the difference between whether or not a play goes favorably, right? So I think it's really cool, and it's one of those things that's like, just seeing you do those little spacings and those little mind games, it speaks to your ability. And I just caught it when you were talking, because I was just watching you play here, and I was like, yeah, this is how you know that Alicopter knows his stuff with support. What the fuck?
Watch what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. What are they doing? I love the 3, and then boom.
Yeah, there it is.
See, this is the brain of enchanter support. So it didn't work out well, but still.
No, but it's a good play. It's a good play. It's a 2v3 on a. I love the editing. It's a 2v3 on our side of the lane, and it's a weird gank. But my thing is, I was thinking about how you were talking about Leona and how you're talking about Nautilus, how you're talking about all these champions. Do you feel, what has made it, because I talked to Lotharis, the Bard player on EU West.
Yeah.
And he was saying how he feels like Bard is very, very similar to Alistar in many ways. Why haven't you ever played this champion? That's what I was just thinking about the other day. I was thinking about you the other day, because, I think about other dudes all the time. And one of the things I was thinking about is I was like, man, why does he never play Bard? Like, it seems like it would fit his style really, really well.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not down to invest time in learning Bard, because I really enjoy playing in high elo. I don't like playing in lower elo brackets. If I want to learn Bard, I have to practice it in lower elo. And Bard is a champion that really requires you to know what you're doing in order to pull it off. It's high skill cap, not that high skill cap, but still, you really got to know what you're doing in order to pull Bard off. So I don't know the weaknesses, the strengths that much. I'm not comfortable with it yet, but you're definitely right. That's very similar to Alistar. especially the champ is just built for roaming, you know.
Mm.
So it would be a nice addition to my champion pool, but I just have to invest time into it first.
Yeah, I think you would be good at it. I played a lot of Bard back in the day. I did like the 100 games to Diamond climb and stuff. Like, it totally does feel like something that you would really enjoy as a backup. And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, he's got to get on this fucking champion. He's got to do like a climb or something so he can be confident in it. Because it's just like a big, you know. Wait, wasn't there like an Alistar like nerf coming or something?
Yeah, they already nerfed it, but it's nothing serious. It's just
Really?
a bit of damage off. Alistar's strength comes from the CC, not from the damage that it does. Now, I'm actually happy they nerfed the damage a bit because now I KS less. But other than that, it's nothing serious.
Well, that's good. At least you're not, you know, you don't feel like it's going to D-rank you anytime soon or anything like that.
No.
No, you're not going to go back. You're not going to go back to D4 off that nerf or anything.
I don't think any, like, it doesn't matter what champion I play. If I play 10 games on it, I would still be higher than D4.
That's just fucking
like, but just my macro, I'm pretty sure just my macro, I could climb over that. That's it. I don't need to like be perfectly mechanically perfect on the champions.
I don't know, man. It's the D4 asylum, dude. It's tough to break out of that. It's a tricky place. It's a difficult place. You should have seen me trying to beat D4 on EUS, dude. I was struggling. I was playing Heck Room and everything. I couldn't make it work for a while. I was having that downswing, dude. So.
Yeah, D4s on EUS are pretty good.
You warned me too before it happened. I was like in Diamond 2, and then I went on a downswing, and I just got stuck on Diamond 4 for so long. I was playing like 3 games a day before like coaching. I was trying to like sneak in some games here or there and get it back, but it was so tough, and my ping was like, you know, like 120 or whatever the hell it was. I was like, dude, this is garbage. Like, I hate this server. It's always like a giant 20, and you know what I'm talking about. Fucking EUS mid, it'd be like a 20-0 Yone for some reason. Just like...
And the worst part is, like, they're pretty good, but they also don't care as much in Diamond. Like, as soon as they fall behind, they really don't give a fuck about the game.
No, they don't
start anything. Yeah, so that's when the enemy mid laner or whatever laner, they just start getting kills after kills after kills. The game's unplayable anymore.
Would you ever play in Korea?
Yeah, I'm thinking of going Korea soon.
When?
With Yasuo, Stylish, the TF Blade, and everybody.
Oh, you didn't even invite me. What an asshole.
They invited me, so I didn't invite anybody. And they just, because they're going to like Team Liquid thing or something.
When is that? When do they plan on do that shit?
I think after this whole traveling thing is lifted.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I'm because, you know, my wife's Navy. It was like, there's like a chance that we could wind up in Europe. There's a chance that we could wind up in Korea. And I keep telling her, it's like, yeah, I was like, please, like, by all means, like, I'm down. I told her, I was like, just don't put me somewhere where I don't have internet. Otherwise, I'm staying over here. Like, you're going spouseless if that's if that's the case.
That'd be fucking nice.
Yeah, it'd be really fun,
nice.
man. I'm telling you right now, if I get a cool spot over in any of these spots, dude, I got you. I'll arrange it. You come chill. We can just land it out. You know, there'll be no duo. Yeah, there'll be no duo queue, but we could both just kind of grind solo queue and then complain about our teammates over dinner or something. That would be the perfect lifestyle.
That'd be really interesting. Korea, I'm really looking forward for Korea.
It's very weird. It's very weird. I want to
do US boot camp as well while being over there with the actual ping. Like, I made it to 430 LP, I think, US while playing with 90 to 110 ping.
That's so good.
But I'm pretty sure I could have done more if I had like the mental fortitude. But sometimes, like, when you go on a loss streak and then you have the ping to deal with, it just...
Oh, that's exactly what it was for me. Yeah, it was exactly what it was.
Such a pain in the ass.
It's very demoralizing. You're just sitting there. You're like, I wouldn't have lost this game. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't have lost it. But I also just think in general, it's a bit of a grind. It doesn't matter what ping too. It's just a big loss streak, and like you hit a big downswing when you've worked really hard. The game is just brutal when you're getting to that upper elo. But one of the things I noticed when I was playing Korea a while back was just like, it's EUS and Korea aren't so far apart anymore, at least from what I'm seeing. Because when I went there years ago, Korea was like way ahead of EUS. Like, what it was like, I don't know how many years ago it was, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the fuck. When I went over there, it was like Korea was just so much faster. And then and it was like how EU West Diamond is now. It's like EU West Diamond is like they just play at hyperspeed, and if exactly as you just described is the same thing over there, except the players in EU West and Korea now, like if you give them some momentum, they actually will play off you. On NA, you try to make a play, and then everyone stares at you and calls you trash.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about EU West. They adapted very fast for the Korean playstyle. Like,
Yeah.
they have more, the thing is, like, they have more players. That helps a lot. They have more players, so there's more talent being born,
Yeah.
There's more different variety of players. There are different variety of mindsets. So, like, it helps a lot. Like, the mindset that you have in real life, the way that you play, there's a lot of, like, I feel like there is correlation. Like, if you're a confident person, you're going to play confident. If you're, like, insecure person, you're going to play more, like, defensive. So, the fact that there are more players, that brings up more opportunities, like, different variation of play styles.
Why do you think it does feel that way? And I bet you know what I'm talking about. It does feel like when you play over there, they're more confident. Give me some time to like cool down after this fucking boot camp shit.
Yeah, sure. Take your time, bro.
Yeah. We'll get in a practice tool and you'll show me all the tricks and all the roams and the cool stuff, and we'll make good content out of it. All right?
All right, NEACE. Take care, bro.
Yeah, see you, brother. Thank you. You as well. Peace.